PAM is the topic of this lecture, which is pulse amplitude modulation. You know it very well that we are continuing with different types of pulse modulation. Modulation plays an important role in communication system. Without modulation, signal cannot be transmitted, a message cannot reach to the destination. We know it very well, and therefore modulation plays an important role. There are two categories of modulation methods which are purely continuous wave, that includes amplitude modulation and angle modulation. Angle includes frequency and phase modulation methods, and then comes other category which is non-continuous. It includes which we can call pulse modulation methods that has analog as well as digital. So analog modulation methods are pulse amplitude modulation and pulse time modulation, which includes pulse width and pulse position modulation. And then there are digital modulation methods. So this lecture is about pulse amplitude modulation method. As its name suggests, we know it very well that in any modulation method, one of the attributes of carrier signal changes in accordance with instantaneous value of message signal. So we have to always remember this thing, that when we talk about any modulation method in any communication system, there will be variation, there will be change in one of the characteristics of carrier signal, and that change will be proportional to instantaneous value of modulating signal. So if we see the name pulse amplitude modulation, so of course in the pulse modulation method, because this is still an analog type of modulation, so the message signal, the modulating signal will be still a continuous signal. But what about carrier? Carrier will be in the form of pulses. So in PAM, pulse amplitude modulation, the amplitude of the pulses, the amplitude of carrier pulses will vary in accordance with instantaneous value of modulating signal. So let's see what is PAM, how does it work, what types of PAM, what are different types of PAM, what are applications, advantages and disadvantages of the PAM signal, PAM technique. So whatever I was giving us the outline of this method, pulse amplitude modulation, you can see this is a type of modulation in which the signal is transmitted in the form of pulses. Of course, it's a type of pulse modulation and used to transmit the analog signal. Remember, the carrier which carries the message, but the carrier is in the form of pulses. And we know that in any modulation method, the altered carrier, the modified carrier, the modulated carrier only is transmitted. So what will be transmitted? The transmission will be in the form of pulses. And that pulse, which will have certain amplitude, will definitely vary as per the modulating signal. So continuous signals are sampled at regular intervals. How do we get pulses? That's another issue. That suppose we have a signal in the form of continuous. In the form of continuous means there is a continuity. The carrier signal, how do we get in the form of pulse? We can get it. And how do we generate PAM signal? That also we will discuss. So look at the diagram here. You can see the first picture, the first part is the modulating signal. It can be seen here that it's a continuous signal. Look at its variation. And its instantaneous value is increasing, then decreasing. But look at my pointer, red color pointer. Again increasing and then decreasing. The second one, pulsed carrier. What do you mean by pulsed carrier? Pulsed carrier means carrier signal in the form of pulses. These are the pulses of carrier signal. What about third one? Third one is the PAM. PAM stands for pulse amplitude modulation. So it's pulse amplitude modulated signal. And look at this signal carefully. This is, you just compare second and third part. The pulses are there at the same position. Position is not changing. But look at the carrier pulse amplitude. The amplitude is, look at here, it's increasing when the modulating signal is increasing. Now, if you see, now when the modulating signal amplitude starts decreasing, if you see here, it starts decreasing. If I can use a pen here, I can look at here, right? The way, see, this is how, you know, your modulating signal amplitude varies. If you compare here, the envelope is modulating signal. Now you check here that when the modulating signal amplitude is peak, if you find here the pulse, the amplitude of pulse is, it has attained peak value. Now it has started decreasing. So look at here, the pulse amplitudes are decreasing. The moment you look at here, this is the minimum point. And if you see the PAM output, this is the minimum. Again, there is a peak. Look at here, there is a peak. There is minimum value. So there is minimum value. So how or what is PAM? PAM is a signal in which the amplitude of carrier pulses is varied in accordance with instantaneous value of modulating signal. Instantaneous value of modulating signal. This is PAM. There is one more diagram here. Look at here. This is the modulating signal, right? This is our sampling signal. Sampling signal is nothing but a carrier signal. I can again, correct here. It is actually your carrier signal. It is in the, it's because see, the PAM output is known as sampled output, because we know that sampling is a process which converts analog signal into the form of discrete. Discrete is in the form of pulses. So sometimes the PAM output is also called as sampled output. So how do we get PAM? By applying pulsed carrier. Pulsed carrier is modulated. So what is pulsed carrier? Sampling. So sampling provides sampled output. Pulsed carrier provides PAM, sampling provides sampled output. Both are same. So we can call it as sampling frequency, or we can call it as, PAM output or sampled output. Now you look at here, the pulse amplitude is just following the modulating signal. Look at here. When it is increasing, it is increasing. When it is decreasing, it is decreasing. But of course, there are two types of PAM we will discuss in next slide. If you see here, in the previous diagram, pulse width at the top is constant. It's not following the curve. But here, look at here, the pulse amplitude, of course, is increasing and decreasing when the modulating signal is increasing and decreasing respectively. But all the tops of the pulses of carrier or sampling signal are not flat. They are as per modulating signal. In fact, there are two types of PAM output, flat top and natural top. So this is natural top. Why it is called as natural top? Look at the modulating signal. Natural signal doesn't have any flat structure at the top, any peak or crest. Nowhere at any point of the signal there is no flat structure. It's all natural. So the output, the envelope of the pulsed output, which is PAM output, will just follow the modulating signal. Okay, so PAM is a kind of modulation, pulse modulation techniques used in signal transmission. This is simplest, I'm sorry, this is simplest form of modulation, and sometimes we term it as analog to digital conversion method, where the message information is encoded in the amplitude of series of pulses. Now let me explain why do we call it as some sort of analog to digital conversion. There is a message signal. We know that this message signal is an analog signal, continuous signal. We want to convert into the form of digital. What is the first step? First step in analog to digital conversion, sampling. Sampling converts analog signal into discrete signal, which has finite amplitudes at particular levels, at particular values. You look at here, message signal is continuous, whereas the pulses are not continuous. So it converts analog signal into discrete, then discrete signal is sent to quantizer and encoding method, then finally we get the signal into digital form. So we can say that PAM or the sampling, natural sampling is the one of the important stages of analog to digital conversion, where the amplitude is nothing but series of pulses. You look at here, the amplitudes are series of pulses, and when we apply certain encoding method here, these amplitude of different pulses will be encoded into some stream of bits according to the strength of the pulse. According to the amplitude of the pulse, it will be converted into, it will be encoded into some stream of bits, some combination of binary bits. The signal is sampled at regular interval. Look at here, at regular interval, and each sample is made proportional to amplitude of modulating signal, which can be seen here. It is proportional to amplitude of modulating signal. The amplitude of each pulse is controlled by instantaneous amplitude of modulating signal. Of course, you see here, this amplitude is controlled by amplitude of modulating signal. More is the amplitude of modulating signal, more is the amplitude of PAM. Minimum is the amplitude of modulating signal, minimum is the amplitude of PAM. So the amplitude of PAM is controlled by, rather amplitude of all the pulses of PAM output are controlled by the respective corresponding, the amplitude of message signal at that particular time slot. The technique transmits data by encoding in the amplitude of series of input pulses. Therefore, used as a very important step in the analog to digital conversion. As I told you that there are two important types of PAM, flat top PAM and natural PAM. What was shown there, you can see here, this is the natural top PAM, natural top. And here you can see flat top. If you look at here, this is actually the envelope, the blue color line, the curve you can see is the modulating signal. And if you can see, this is continuous. And what we are doing, we are converting, we are obtaining PAM signal, and PAM signal is a series of pulses whose amplitude is controlled by the amplitude of modulating signal. But what is important here is, look at the top of each pulse. All the tops are flat. If you find here, see if you highlight here, let me choose a pen here. It's better. You see here, right? Look at here. The blue color is this one, but this is the extra portion. Why? It's because of we have obtained flat top output. How can we get flat top output? Flat top output. How can we get natural output? It requires certain circuit. I will discuss. The amplitude of each pulse is directly proportional to modulating signal amplitude at the time of pulse occurrence. Of course, amplitude is proportional. The amplitude of signal cannot be changed with respect to analog signal to be sampled. That is very important. How? See here, amplitude of the PAM, that is pulses, follows the amplitude of modulating signal. But here the amplitude of pulses at the top especially is not depending on or not equal to the amplitude of modulating signal. Why? Because this particular circuit uses sample and hold circuit. How do we get this flat top sample and hold circuit? If you remember an electronic circuit, sample and hold circuit, which uses a capacitor, and there is a nature of capacitor that when capacitor is charged up to certain voltage, the voltage in the capacitor does not change instantaneously. Even if the input voltage or input current, which is given as an input to the capacitor, suddenly changes, but the voltage in the capacitor does not change instantaneously. So sample and hold circuit employs a capacitor, and the property of capacitor is that it holds the voltage for some time, then only it will start discharging. So this is what it has been charged up to certain voltage, and then it maintains the constant voltage. So this type of output can be obtained by using a sample and hold circuit with the PAM output. If PAM output is passed, the natural PAM output is passed through sample and hold circuit, or the sampling signal can be applied to sample and hold, and the message signal, message and sampler, both can be applied, and the output can be applied to sample and hold. We will get this type of output. It has its advantages and disadvantages. You see, what will be drawback? The drawback is, you look at here, some extra amount is covered. Some extra portion is being covered in the pulsed, and that is beyond the amplitude of modulating signal. So it means that may be, that may include some noise also, noise component. You look at here, that may include some noise component. If you talk about natural sampling, what is happening? Some part is missing also. And here some extra part is being added, and some extra part is being added. This is also a drawback, because that part may include some unwanted effect, some unwanted noise. So it has this important drawback, which can be recovered using different methods, which we will discuss in subsequent lectures. You see, this is natural sampling. The first one was flat top. Why? The top was flat, and here it's natural sampling. As its name suggests, natural. See what happens when you use a sampling signal and when you use a message signal. What is sampling signal here? Sampling signal is nothing but pulsed carrier. Sampling signal is nothing but pulsed carrier. So if sampling signal is multiplied by the modulating signal, you will get this signal. Why there is a clipping here? Because see, the amplitude is increasing in this way. So the pulse amplitude will increase like this. When the pulse amplitude is, when modulating amplitude is almost constant here, so pulse amplitude is constant here. Now you look at here, the pulse amplitude is decreasing in the way the modulating signal amplitude is decreasing. So it is just following the envelope, rather the envelope of the PAM signal is following the envelope of message signal. Natural phenomena called as natural sampling. The amplitude of each pulse is directly proportional to the modulating signal amplitude at the time of pulse occurrence and follows the amplitude of pulse for rest of the cycle, unlike flat top sampling. You look at here that all three, there are actually three types. The third type, which we are not describing here, you can see here ideal sampling, natural sampling, we have explained now. This is flat top sampling. Flat top sampling, you can see that all the tops are flat here. Is it clear? You can see that all the tops are flat here, and in the natural sampling, the tops of pulse amplitudes are just following the modulating signal. But in the third one, which is called as ideal sampling, actually ideal sampling we are not covering here. It is very useful in DSP, digital signal processing. And in ideal sampling, there is some difference. That difference is the carrier which is in the form of pulses. The carrier which is in the form of pulses in natural and flat top sampling. In the case of ideal sampling, carrier is train of impulses. We all understand that impulse is actually a pulse, but width is infinitesimal. Width is very, very small. Width is negligible, but there is width, but very negligible. You see here, these are the impulses. So rather than using a broad pulses of having smaller width, but broad pulses are there, you can clearly see that these are the pulses which are used as carrier signal in the flat top and natural sampling output, whereas in the ideal sampling, the carrier itself is the train up impulses. So when there are train up impulses, you can see that these are the impulses and the amplitude of impulses are just following the amplitude of modulating signal. So it's just like natural sampling, but in natural sampling, you see that the carrier is the pulsed carrier, whereas in ideal sampling, the carrier is impulsed signal. The carrier is train up impulses, and in case of natural, carrier is train up pulses. So that's the difference. Train up pulses, train up impulses. How do we generate? How can we generate a PAM signal? What will be a typical block diagram? How can we? So this is a typical block diagram by which we can generate. That modulating signal is passed through low pass filter. In all communication system, you know that whenever we want to use a modulating signal, a message signal, we generally pass through a low pass filter. Why? So that that desired band, what is the range of signal, of range of message signal, exactly that range we want to pass to all the succeeding stages. We don't want to allow any other adjacent components of the message signal. Therefore, it's always better to pass through low pass filter, which passes through that low frequency component, and then it is subjected to multiplexer. You see here in multiplexer, we are providing to its, we can also say, it's a kind of multiplier where you have two inputs, one is modulating, second is pulse generator. So rather than calling it as a multiplexer, I would rather say it as a either I will call it as mixer, right? The correct term will be mixer. In some literature, it is also written as multiplier, right? Because why it is also called as, it's written here as a multiplexer because both are combined and then it becomes a single signal, right? That it uses both the signals, but the output is only one. The input is, the number of inputs is 2, but the output is 1. We can call it as mux, but the actual operation of multiplexer is not being performed here. Okay, and then that is modulated. We know that the signal will be modulated, and that modulated signal is the PAM output. The PAM can also be generated from a pure sine wave modulating signal and a square wave generator that produces the carrier pulse and a PAM modulator. Hope you understand. Suppose there is a PAM modulator. There is a circuit called as PAM modulator. What is the role of PAM modulator? It will produce PAM output. What are the two inputs? One, message signal. Second, carrier pulses. So message signal is a sinusoidal, any sinusoidal analog continuous message signal. What is pulsed carrier? It's a square wave. So what are the three input? You look at here, the first one is pure sine wave, right? Again, if I use a pen, you see here there is a pure sine wave as a modulating signal. Now you see that there is a square wave, and third is component is modulator. So there are three components used. One is modulating signal sine wave. Second is square wave generator to generate the pulsed carrier, and third one is PAM modulator, which will use both the signals and will produce PAM output. A sine wave generator utilizes, it may use Wien bridge oscillator. What is the purpose of sine wave generator? We want a stable modulating signal. So for that, we can use Wien bridge oscillator or any other oscillator. Wien bridge oscillator is being used because of the frequency which we want from a sine wave generator is not very high. The message signals do not have very high frequency, and therefore why to use some high frequency crystal or that LC oscillators. So the lower frequency generating oscillators are enough. So Wien bridge oscillator, any oscillator can be used to generate a sine wave, and it produces distortion free sine wave. When the oscillator is generating a sine wave, it must be free from distortion. If there is any amount of distortion, then the entire operation will not be able to generate the appropriate output at respective stages. The amplitude and frequency of oscillator can be adjusted by using a potentiometer. We know that in Wien bridge oscillator there are 4 resistances and 2 capacitances. So the potentiometer that registers in the Wien bridge oscillator, when we change the potentiometer, when we change the resistor values, the frequency and amplitude will change. If we want some different Messrs signal, the same oscillator can generate a different Messrs signal, different frequency, just by changing the frequency, just by changing the potentiometer parameters. All right, this is one possible circuit diagram. Let me tell you, there may be a number of variants. There may be a number of circuits for both for sine wave generator as well as square wave generator. So you can see here that amplitude can be adjusted here, frequency can be adjusted here. You see, this is an operational amplifier, you know, inverting operational amplifier. You see that there is a feedback network. You can see that there is a parallel combination of R and C, right? There is a series combination of R and C, and there is one more resistance. There is one more resistance. If you remember Wien bridge, in any Wien bridge there are 4 arms. One arm series combination of R and C. Second arm parallel combination of R and C. Third single resistance. Fourth single resistance. So if you find that where are the arms, let me highlight. This is the first arm. This is the second arm. I mean this complete. This is the third arm, and this is the fourth arm. We know that in the Wien bridge oscillator there are how many arms are there? 4 arms. So how can we change? The Wien bridge oscillator is generating what? A signal. How can we change it? We can just change the frequency by changing these values here, the value of R2 here, and if we change this R here, we can change the value of what? The amplitude also. Because see, here the feedback resistor is directly connected to the input. So this is how the gain is also controlled, right? There in that R2 gain is not being controlled. And if you can see here that potentiometer, this resistance is varying, and that part is connected as a feedback to the input. So in one way, and that to output is coming, some part of output is being given to the input as the negative feedback. So it will adjust the gain factor also. So when gain of any oscillator, gain of an amplifier changes, it means the amplitude will also be changing. So amplitude and frequency can be adjusted because we want to generate a Messrs signal of different amplitudes and different frequencies. So therefore, that arrangement is needed. And the next part is that is square wave generator, which is required. That this is subjected to a square wave generator. This may be a stable multivibrator, using operational amplifier, and both can be combined together, and then the modulating signal will be subjected to sampler. The sampler is nothing but a sampling signal, means a train of pulses, and then sampler operates over the Messrs signal, and then finally we get the PAM output. So this is one possible, circuit diagram of the PAM generator circuit, PAM generation arrangement, PAM generation method. As I told you, this operational amplifier can be replaced by common emitter amplifier, common source amplifier if we use JFET version. So there may be n number of variations of these circuit, that circuit for PAM generation. And in the circuit, the frequency is varied as per the potentiometer R2. You look at here, potentiometer R2 is connected here, and amplitude is varied as per potentiometer R. How do we calculate frequency? It's a standard expression of calculating frequency by using Wien bridge. 1 by 2 pi square root of R1 R2 C1 C2. R1 multiplied by R2 multiplied by C1 multiplied by C2. All kept in a square root multiplied by 2 pi, and reciprocal of this factor gives frequency in Wien bridge. The square wave is generated by op-amp based stable multivibrator. See here, stable multivibrator, stable amplifier also we can say. The op-amp is used to reduce the complexity of generating the square wave. We can use other amplifiers as well, common emitter or common source amplifier, but there is a benefit of using operational amplifier, that we have less complexity when we use operational amplifier. the on time and off time of the pulse can be made identical. Where the A stable circuit, because we want pulsed carrier, and in the pulsed carrier all the pulses will have same duration, all right, because it depends on sampling time, sampling period does not change in any sampling signal, sampling period remains same throughout the carrier signal, throughout the pulsed carrier signal. Therefore the on and off time when the pulse amplitude is higher side or when the pulse amplitude is in lower side, in both the side the the duration will be same whether it is on time or off time. And there is a time constant. We know that time constant is an important factor, that time constant is calculated like this, 2.2 into RC. So this is one, there actually in this circuit we are using sine wave, and then we are passing through in one way. It's actually, a buffer amplifier where we are passing sine wave, and this is a circuit to generate a square wave. And this circuit is a stable multivibrator which produces a square wave signal whose time constant is 2.2 RC. Time constant means this time period. This time period means 2.2 into RC. You can see that your time, that time period or sampling period depends on resistance as well as capacitance. So if we change R and C or either of R and C, the time period will change. But remember, when we generate a square wave, on and off time, when the stable multivibrator is generating on duration, maybe positive pulse, during off there is a negative pulse, because in the previous, in our current explanation, we have included only positive pulses, but your pulses may be negative as well. So during on and off interval, during on and off time, the interval needs to be same. So we have discussed the classification of PAM output based on whether the top is flat top or natural top. There is one more categorization, there is one more classification which is based on polarity, which is called a single polarity PAM and double polarity PAM. As its name suggests, single polarity means suitable fixed bias is added to the signal to ensure that all pulses are positive. Do you understand? Suppose there are positive pulses, negative pulses. So we provide a particular bias. Say the negative pulses are going up to -1 volt. We provide a +3 volt DC bias. So automatically all negative pulses will be raised up right from +2 volt. So they are all in the positive side. So in the single polarity, we provide a DC bias, and then automatically all pulses will be moved to either positive or negative part of the cycle, negative part of the diagram. And accordingly, we can get either single polarity or double polarity. In double polarity, the pulses will have both positive pulses and negative pulses. All right, positive pulses and negative pulses. So that's all. That's about classification of PAM, that is based on the polarity. Now, how do we demodulate? Now we have generated PAM. How do we demodulate? This is fed to LPF that eliminates high frequency ripples and generate demodulated signal. See that in the transmitter side also we have used LPF. Why? So that we allow the correct band of frequency, correct signal frequency, message signal frequency. So here also, suppose if there are any ripples, if there are any some unwanted effects which have been added in the adjacent side of the pulses, then that can be eliminated by using a suitable low pass filter, and then we can generate demodulated output. So you look at here, this is modulating signal, this is a modulated output, and the demodulated output is like this. But this is inverted because it has passed through the inverted amplifier. So signal is then applied to inverting amplifier. So when we want to invert it again, so we have to pass through an inverting amplifier and we'll get a modulating signal. So what is the process? First, pass through LPF, just pass through LPF, and then pass through what? An inverting amplifier will get the means message signal which was transmitted or modulated by the PAM method. What are the applications in Ethernet communication? We all know Ethernet communication is used in either wireless local area network or wide area network, and it provides huge connectivity to a number of devices, number of components, number of cables are connected. So there, the signals which are used in communicating among a number of devices in Ethernet, you also use for controlling, for enabling, for providing control signals in different Ethernet stages and devices. The PAM signal is also used. In many microcontroller for generating the control signals. We know that in microcontroller based operations, the role of the role of pulses plays an important role, and those pulses can be generated by using suitable or we can just take we can make use of PAM output as the pulses to control various operations by the microcontroller. So it's also used for generating different control signals which are required to control a number of tasks, the number of operations which are to be controlled by the microcontroller. It is also used as an electronic driver for LED lighting. How to control the LED lighting, right? How much duration a particular colored LEDs have to be uh, on, and then the next part, next that remaining next duration, how much time the same LEDs need to be off. So on and off time, how many LEDs are to be chosen first, and then in second duration, how many other LEDs are to be chosen. So in LED lighting, different types of the LED lighting is styled LED lighting based light generation system, light generating patterns. This PAM can be used in order to provide a suitable pulses, and that too varying amplitude. So varying amplitude, and accordingly, the LED amplitude will also fluctuate. LED amplitude will also vary in accordance with the PAM output, and therefore you must have experienced in the LED lighting that it looks dancing like structure, dancing and other different types of patterns can be seen in LED lighting. So that can be also controlled by the PAM output. The advantages and disadvantages are transmitter and receiver are very simple and easy to construct. It's not very too difficult to design the PAM transmitter and receiver. You have seen that in the receiving end, we need only LPF and inverting amplifier, which are not very complex devices, electronic devices. And as far as the transmitter is concerned, in transmitting side also, we have seen that a multiplier, then circuits for generating sine wave and square wave are needed, and they're also not very complex electronic circuits or devices. So therefore, the transmitter and receiver are simple and easy to construct. The PAM carries the message at the same time, so that is good thing. But there are some drawbacks. Bandwidth is large for transmission of PAM signal because, and there is one more thing, when the amplitude varies so much, so the power required for transmission is large, because when the amplitude varies, there is power loss also. So more, you see, whenever amplitude variation is more, amplitude fluctuation is more, the power consumption will be more. So more transmission power is needed, more bandwidth is needed. But of course, the advantages are the transmitter and receivers are simple, and the PAM signal can carry the message at the same time. That is the major advantage. So let's summarize the lecture. This lecture is about pulse amplitude modulation, which is an important type of pulse modulation method in which the carrier is in the form of pulse, which is also called as, which can also be referred as a sampling signal. So pulsed carrier will be there in the form of pulses, and it will have certain duration and amplitude. But in PAM, what happens? The amplitude of pulses will vary in accordance with the instantaneous value of modulating signal. It is of two types, flat top and natural top. Flat top, all the tops of pulses in the output are flat, whereas in natural, it simply follow the envelope of modulating signal. And the PAM is very simple, and another advantage is that uh, that the message can be carried by the PAM signal at the same time, but something is sacrificed, something extra is required, additional cost is included in the PAM that demands for higher bandwidth and high transmission power. High transmission power is due to the varying amplitude. So that's all for this lecture. Thank you.